Hey lovelies, it's been a minute. I wasn't about to be left out of this Jayda Wayda inspired hairstyle, so I decided to do mine on a wig. And I'm using a 13 by 6 frontal, 13 from ear to ear, and 6 from top to bottom. As we all know, first things would be to make sure that it's actually 13 by 6 because every frontal is made different. And the next thing is I'm going to section out some part of it because my own ear to ear is 11.75. So I'll be taking out half an inch from each side. That's what I did in this video, but I would advise you that when you're doing it, take out a little bit more than your ear to ear. So for example, my ear to ear is 11.75. I should have taken out 1.5. That's 0.75 on each side. And why am I saying this? That's because these laces stretch. So after cutting out, you want to make sure what you did was accurate, and what I did was accurate. I actually did 12, but halfway down the line I ended up taking out a lot more. Next thing, I fold it into two and get my middle. This will help me with my lace placement. I usually place my lace half an inch away from the cap and using whatever it is I had nipped on the closure to get the center. Then I also try to secure the sides. By the time you're done, you're supposed to have this M shape or inverted W shape here. Yes, it means that you did something right. Like I already said, all laces are made different. And with 13 by 6, you usually have this gap at the back. If it were 13 by 4 frontal, it would have laid seamlessly. So first thing I do is I use this pin to get out the excess, and then I fold the excess away from the middle or towards the sides. So I never fold it towards the middle, I fold it towards the sides, and I do the same thing on this other end. Next thing would be to stitch the cap down. That's to stitch the lace frontal down. When I'm stitching, I usually start from the middle. I stitch to one side, I go back to the middle, and I stitch to the other side. When I get to this part that I have folded, I do about 2 to 3 stitches there just so that it is very flat. Then I continue down just like as I'm doing in this video. Now, I don't usually stitch at one go. Um, the point of doing that is just so that I don't overstretch the lace frontal. Now that part I folded, I'm also going to stitch it down, but I'm going to use one single thread or at most two, that's double, instead of the usual double then folded into half. I hope you understand what I'm saying. And when I'm doing it, I make sure not to catch too much of the lace so that it doesn't look bumpy. Like what I just did now, you couldn't see my thread. Yeah. The next thing, I'll check to see that the lace frontal is flat. This step is very important. If it's not flat, you have to take it down and do it again. I'm about to start sewing on my weft, so I'm taking out the hair so that it's not in my way. I've been braiding for a while, maybe 10, maybe 15 years, I think up to 15 years. And I usually eyeball these things, but lately, everyone is measuring, which is a good thing. It helps to make the work easier because in the beginning, I would eyeball, do it, get it wrong, take it down, do it again. So this is for the sake of this video. Left for me, I prefer to just freestyle it. When I get to the top, I go horizontally, just as you can see. I'm using this beautiful textured hair. It's the kinky curly hair and it's from Ammie N. To start the first braid, I'll be going from one end to the other end all the way. I don't usually like to split my wefts. Like I said, I'm old school. I prefer to hand stitch. I'm not a fan of machine weft, machine sewn wigs. Not that they are bad, but I just like hand stitching. I mean, if I'm going to use the machine to sew it on, it takes away the fun of making the wig, in my opinion. So I'm just showing you how I sew the hair. I don't pass the needle through the, as in through the weft. I go under the weft, because if you keep passing your needle through your weft, you're going to take away the stretch of this cap, and by the time you're done, it won't be your size. Then this is also how I knot. I go about 3 to 4 times. Yeah, even though I just did it twice here, but I go about 3 to 4 times. Then when I get to the end here, some people would like to split their wefts, no problem. But in my own case, I prefer to fold mine, and I'm going to show you how I do it. When I get here, I don't sew all the way to the end of that, to the end of that that's meeting up the lace closure. I always leave some space, and then I curve this weave a bit up, like I'm doing right now, and I fold. Once I fold, I have to now pass the needle through this weft at this point up to 2 or 3 times, just to make sure it's secure. Just to make sure it's secure. Sometimes I also knot, like you can see me doing. After that, I continue sewing as usual. I'll just keep going, doing this till I get to the top part, where I'm going to start going from side to side. And I'll keep going from side to side, also not splitting my weft till I get to the end. Now this is the remaining space. Instead of me to keep sewing the usual way I've been sewing, I'll start doing things the other way around, like opposite. By the time I'm done, I'll flip it over. This is to give this hair volume. You know, with curly hair, especially with this Jayda Wayda inspired hairstyle, you need volume up there. You don't want it to be too flat. But if it's maybe straight hair, you might not have to do this. Yeah, so when I'm done, I flip it over and I use my coiling rod, coiling barrel, whatever it's called, coiler, and yes, and I press it down. So I don't want my braids in front to come all the way down. So I'm going to actually braid some part of the frontal, and the best would be to use the same at weave on, okay, so that everything blends. As usual, I take off the weft. I use the gel to grip the top, and then I section out bits and pieces of hair for my braiding. Next thing I do is I get braiding hair. I'm using braiding hair for two solid reasons. The first would be to extend this little piece of hair, okay, and then the second, which I think is the most important, would be to be able to use it to knot that hair. Because we all know, if you braid, you know that you using human hair to knot hair is really difficult. And by the way, this is 100% human hair. So just basically braiding the hair, nothing special. The hair already has some gel, so it makes it easier to grip. I'll just keep doing this till I get to the end of the short piece of human hair. Then I'll now look for that braiding hair I attached and use it to knot. I'd advise you knot up to 4 to 5 times. Yeah, and that's it for this side. Then we don't want this gap to be showing. It's not like it's a gap, but we want a seamless transition from frontal to the weave. So I'm just going to use my crochet pin and loop some of this curly hair around it, just like I'm doing in the video. You're going to see how it looks at the end, like this, and you can't see any gaps or any weft. For the stitch braids, if you want me to do a detailed stitch, how I stitch my frontals or lace closure or full lace wigs, please leave comments for me in the comment section below, and I will do that. I actually sped up this part, if not the video would have been super long. And this is how I do my stitch braids. I usually alternate between using a comb and using my fingers. Most people use nails, or they fix artificial nails, but I am not a mainstream braider, and I didn't see the need to get those artificial nails. Or maybe I'll just get one for the sake of stitch braids. I don't know, maybe. When I get to the end, I started adding braiding hair. And when I got to the end properly, I started to attach some of the curly hair from the weave on. This is just to give that tail end some texture, and also to give it volume because I'm also going to use it to do my Bantu knots. So that's what I'm doing here. Also, by grabbing some piece of the curly hair, it also helps the transition as well. So no one is able to see the gap, knowing that this is weave and this is frontal, even though we already know that, right? When you're wrapping the Bantu knots, you want to start from the top and then wrap your way down the knots. And as you're doing, keep grabbing some of that hair to give it some length so that you have enough to wrap. If not, your Bantu knot is going to be very, very tiny and it might not look nice. So this is the end of this hair. Next, what do you guys think? Okay, so this is what the hair looks like. And as you can see, I was super excited. Yeah, I knew it was going to turn out nice, but I didn't know it was going to really eat like this. So this is my own version of the Jayda Wayda inspired hair, and I love this hair. If you're interested in a custom unit like this or any other custom unit, feel free to send me a message on my social media handles. Bye, guys.